Right, so today I wanted to start by talking about a very interesting tweet from Dennis Rancourt that I seen. And he says, if it was an actual pandemic, there would be no need for the massive military grade propaganda campaign, the paramilitary occupation of society, and the systematic state violence against and censorship of non-believers. Now, this is something I brought up a lot before, but he kind of he sums it up in a good way. And I wanted to bring it up again because I hear a lot of people in the anti-lockdown community, and by those not just the passive people, but the more outspoken people, um, they're starting to lose hope. And the thing that I wanted to bring up, and seeing this definitely brought that point home, is that if there was no hope, there would be no need for the amount of propaganda that's out there right now. There would be no need for the amount of censorship that is out there right now. There would be no need for the amount of propaganda. So there definitely is still hope. This is something that I really wanted to bring up to start today because I mean a lot of the stuff I bring up is that things aren't going to change, but I want to bring it up that things can easily change. Like people don't realize just how delicate the system is. Right? People don't. And here's the thing, like I've been bringing up lately, is that the majority of people don't believe in this garbage anymore. The majority of people don't believe in it, whether or not they're honest with you about it or they're saying it by default through their actions. Because again, there's a lot of people that they'll say they believe it or reluctantly believe it, but yet they don't follow the rules, or at least some of the rules themselves. So again, the only people that I consider to support the lockdowns are the ones that openly support it, vocally, openly, and the ones that actually follow the rules themselves. But again, what percent of the population is doing that? Maybe 10%, 20, maybe at the top. So again, like the majority of people, like I've always brought up, they fall in that category of people who are skeptical of this whole lockdown situation, but yet they're afraid to speak up. They think that it's just temporary, all this stuff, like all this stuff. So, um, like I say, I wanted to bring this up today because I think it's important to bring this point home that if it was hopeless, the amount of propaganda that they're putting out on a daily basis, it wouldn't be necessary, right? It wouldn't be necessary. So again, like I say, that it wouldn't be necessary. So this is something that people really need to, I think, take note of. People at least in the more outspoken crowd, is that it's not hopeless. It's not hopeless. Like I say, the majority of people don't agree with this garbage. The problem comes back to the deck is very stacked in the pro lockdown side's favor. The deck is completely stacked in their favor because they're the people that are in government. They're the people that control the media. They're the people that are paying these doctors' salaries. So again, like that's the problem, is that the deck is massively stacked in their favor. Um, but again, he puts it in a very, very good way. Like, do you think during the Black Plague, the government had to send people around, constantly warning people about how, there's this plague going on, and you gotta stay home and stay safe and all this garbage? I mean, they didn't know about, the concept of germ theory, but still, like, did they need people to be constantly warned? Like during the Spanish flu, did they need the government constantly throwing out propaganda? No, they didn't, because it was actually a legitimate threat. And not that this is another thing that I bring up a lot that I can't stand to, is that the minute that you talk to one of these zealots about, the minute that you show the least bit form of skepticism, they immediately, completely straw man you and say, "Oh, you think that the virus is fake?" No, I've never said that. Um, and I've talked a lot about why a lot of people say that is very obviously because the government is, you know, misled people at the very least to a very large degree. So again, when you have the government misleading, or at the very least misleading, more than likely outright lying to people as much as they are, what more do you expect? Like seriously, what more do you expect? Um, but anyway, like I say, like if it was hopeless, the amount of propaganda that's being put out there right now would be completely unnecessary, right? It would be completely unnecessary. Like, you know, you look at some of these, and this is the thing too, like I don't think that the human beings aren't naturally in this state either. The human beings aren't naturally this collectivistic, this crazy, for lack of a better word. Because again, if they were, it wouldn't take so much propaganda. So again, I think this is a very important point to bring up, and I think it needs to be talked about more because it's not hopeless. It's not hopeless because, again, I think more and more people are waking up to it. The thing that we need to keep doing is we need to keep talking to people because, it's like I said, that most people don't believe in this garbage, whether they want to admit it or not. So again, you got to speak up more. I think is the biggest thing when it comes to every one of these situations, is especially with people are going to be at least somewhat receptive to it. Like I think people like me, or people that are watching this, probably they're afraid that they bring it up to the normies and they're going to get viciously vilified, attacked, ostracized. But it's never as bad as what you think. And here's the thing, like, if people hate you for speaking the truth on this kind of stuff, it's probably a good thing. Like, did you really lose anything of value if you have a crazy cousin or aunt or uncle or whatever who is a lockdown zealot and they're threatening to never talk to you again? Like, have you lost anything of value? No, you haven't. You haven't. If anything, you've gained. So like I said, I think the most important thing right now is people need to spread, share, they need to share the information more. I think this is, again, like I said, the deck is stacked against us, but I don't think that enough is being done. I think a lot of people kind of just stay in their shells, don't really go out of it. They watch people like me or people, that are speaking the truth, but they don't share it, or they're not supporting them. So again, like, people need to do more, I think, is the biggest thing. There's probably a lot of people that are doing a good amount, but um, if you're disappointed in the way things are going and you're not doing as much as you possibly can be doing, then it's kind of hard to have sympathy for people. Now, again, that doesn't necessarily mean you need to support people with money. It could just be simply following, liking, sharing, subscribing. Like, people massively underestimate the amount of help that stuff like that does. So, yeah. From Paul Joseph Watson here, he says, Professor Paul Hunter, there were more cases at the end of the lockdown than at the start in London. Then what was the point? His solution, another lockdown. Again, I brought up so many of these examples. It's getting really boring to have to bring up these examples. But like I said, the reason why I'm stressing how important it is for people to speak up is that I don't think that we are going to get back to normal until the people say just F off. Like, we're not going to take it anymore, because a lot of people think, oh yeah, once the cases go down. But again, the cases are never going to go down. At the rate we are testing, given the amount of false positives that the PCR tests yield, it is impossible for the cases to go to zero at this point. Like, it is physically impossible for the cases to go to zero, because again, given how high the cycle thresholds are for the PCR test, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And again, like, they told us, they were telling us all along, oh yeah, once we get a vaccine, we'll be good to go. And now we have a vaccine, and have they brought that up yet? Have they brought that up lately? No. We've heard from multiple of these idiot doctors saying, oh no, you're still going to need to wear masks, you're still going to have to social distance, you're still going to need these restrictions. So again, I don't think things are going back to normal until more people speak up. I hate to say it, but I don't think it's going to happen. This is a very sad story here from Jackie Mundry saying, "Today I spoke to the family of Spencer Smith, died by suicide on Friday. His family says he left a note writing he felt locked in his house and disconnected from his friends due to the pandemic." Again, I'm so tired of seeing stories like this. I know people that have had stuff like this happen. Um, I don't know anyone who's died from the virus, and I've heard multiple stories like this. Just people I know personally. Just people I know personally. Not to mention the amount of these stories that you see online. So again, like I put out in the video yesterday, the biggest lie of this whole situation is that we're saving lives by locking down. We are not saving lives by locking down. More lives are being taken because of the lockdowns. The numbers are pretty clear on this. Now, the problem with that is that it's very hard to quantify exactly, because If someone was very depressed before or during, like again, this is the problem, and this is the reason why the people that have been proponents of lockdowns will never be held accountable, because it's very hard to quantify. Okay, these people that lost their jobs, did they lose it because of the lockdown? Again, that stuff is very hard to quantify. And here's the thing too, we're gonna recover out of this whole situation into a recession. Again, people think that you can just flip things on and off. You can go from 5% unemployment to 20% and just go right back whenever the government wants to flip a switch. That's not how reality works. So again, the amount of collateral damage that is created because of these policies, I mean, stuff like this is very obvious. Stuff like this is very obvious that this is collateral damage from the lockdowns. But, if someone is, abusing their kids because of stress and, losing their job, and that kid commits suicide 20 years from now, is anybody ever going to remember this situation? Well, no, of course they're not. If people lose their jobs, and because of that, more and more people end up in poverty. That this is stuff. It's like I brought up too, that the negative ramifications of this whole situation, they're going to be felt for a decade or two, maybe even longer. Again, people think that, oh, we just got to get past this and we'll be good to go. No, like, negative ramifications of this whole situation are going to be felt for a very, very long time, a very long time. And more people need to wake up to that. Like, like I say, I'm so tired of seeing stories like this. I'm so tired of it. And this is from CTV News. And again, this is kind of an ironic story. More than 1.56 billion face masks could end up polluting oceans, report. And again, it's very funny that, in Canada, we put a bunch of time and effort into banning straws because, again, you know, straws are apparently causing climate change, which makes no sense, but whatever. Um, but yeah, we're perfectly fine with all these face masks ending up in the ocean. Like again, it makes no sense. And again, this is just another example of the climate zealots not caring about the climate. They never have. I don't think they ever will. The goal of climate change is simply to push for more socialism. It's to push for more big government. It's so obvious it's not even funny, because again, they only care about it when they can use it as an excuse to push big government, to push socialism. That's the only time they ever care about climate change, right? Um, so anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you check out those links below. Follow me on those other platforms. If you want to donate, you can do that as well. But like I say, check out those links below. Have a good day, and stay tuned for more.